I wanna bring us back to the team. So you buy your first residential property.
Yeah, you go shopping. Fantastic. The property that you are hunting for, you've come across it. Like amazing. It's this banger, 3-bed, 1-bath, low set brick on a 600 square meter block of dirt.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. That's your must-haves in a growth location, well built out. That's sort of like the basic fundamentals of what you should be looking for on that front. But then it's like, okay, cool. Now you do your analysis or your buyer's agent.
You check the buyer's agent's DD.
Yep, and that's the key point. If you are going down the buyer's agent path, like obviously it's your money. Don't outsource everything, but have an understanding. Jump on realestate.com, check out the sold sections, both the rentals and the sold and the on the markets. But once you've got that confidence to pull that trigger at that figure, and you start negotiations, and then you secure that property, then we start evolving into the next phase of your team.
Yeah, and I like to think about where am I once if I'm going to use a buyer's agent. Obviously, once you purchase the property, you need a conveyancer or solicitor, and you need building and pest check. Before I purchase the property or before I make an offer, typically I want to know who my building and pest check is, the person, and I typically going to know who my conveyancer is. And that's going to be based on typically the area that I'm purchasing in, or the state. I have used, was it Law Lab? They're online, they're pretty good for conveyancers. And then building and pest is going to be somebody that's, can be a international one, but, a national one. Yeah.
Well, you can
just go local.
Yeah, the main thing is that they're qualified builders. In my point,
go for people that have good reviews. Do your due diligence on them as well. And so you're gonna purchase the property, and then you're gonna speak to your conveyancer and get your building and pest check done. And then once you have that done and you've settled on a deal, before settlement, you're going to work out who's my property manager going to be.
Yeah, well, that sort of goes into I like going deeper.
If you want a property manager. Yeah, let's go deeper.
Understanding why you're doing this, right? Like we're talking about 101 here. So the reason why you want to get in contact with your building and pest inspector is if you're obviously in negotiations with this property, you haven't secured it yet, but it's looking quite promising. You want to be, you're going to need to organise a building and pest inspection. And if you want to make your offer as strong as possible, obviously from the seller's perspective, you can have the least amount of conditions as possible. If you can do your building and pest before signing the contract, so you don't need that condition, you will spend that money up front, and it's not a guarantee you'll secure the property. But from a seller's perspective, if you've got two offers on the table, one's at 500,000, one's at 510, one is conditioned to a building and pests and finance, one's just finance. Yeah, I've definitely done deals where my offer's been accepted because it doesn't have a building and pest or a finance clause, because there's less barriers, and they'll take the lower price for the guaranteed result. That does happen. And then the conveyancing side of things is it's important to have that conveyancer. If you're working with a professional, obviously they'll introduce that to your psyche, at the front of the process. So your professionals that are surrounding you, your team, they know what you're doing. So it's not like you just, can you imagine what you're doing in your profession right now? Someone calls you and says, oh, hey, Jane, I've just bought a property and I need you to do the, conveyancing on it, within the next 24 hours before I sign the contract. And they're just like, I haven't heard from you. I have no idea what you were doing. And now you want me to drop everything that I've just been working on in my life just for you. Like, give me a little bit of heads up is kind of what I'm trying to say. So it's not a cold conversation, and then they're happy to work alongside you as best as possible. And that's why we say, do it up front, get sure they're aware of the process, what state you're buying in. Obviously there's nationwide conveyancing businesses, but each state is different with their rules and regs.
Yeah, I love that. I love how you get into the negotiation piece of it's going to help me sort of get the deal across the line for a good deal with the building and pest check done prior. I love that. And so once you
can also negotiate on what you find in the building and pest inspection.
Yes.
So
that's a good idea.
Whereas this is negotiations speak, but you can, like, from a buyer's perspective, a lot of the sellers, say you've got something on the contract that's like a building and pest report, you've committed the money, you've committed that whole process up until then. If you get a building and pest report that's not as how do I say, I guess not amazing, there's a few issues with the property, and you still want to proceed with the property, and the agent knows that, there's a few little cracks in the plaster, but structurally it's completely fine. Yes, there's a few cracked tiles, not a big issue. This person, it's a bit of the poker game where the agent's going, you're not going to back out on this. I know you're asking for $10,000 off the contract price, but I don't think you're going to do it. And then if you've done that before signing the contract, you can kind of bag the property as much as you can to get them down on price.
You use that building and pest check as leverage.
Yeah, it's a tool to negotiate with. And it's harder to do once if it's subject to a building, pest and finance. Like, don't get me wrong,
you're very price signed.
Yeah, and like, I don't get me wrong. Like, I do it all the time as well. On both fronts. It's just from looking at it historically, if like in Sydney as an example, in New South Wales, they are more open to doing the unconditional offers. So they're getting their pre-finance approved. They can go and put their offers in. They do the building and pests before doing the negotiation. So they can just basically go in an unconditional offer, and that's the norm. Whereas in Queensland, it's like opposite.